document this moment, trying to put these adhesive decals on a Tundra. And I attempted 3 different ways, meaning what I did is I mapped it out in 3 different ways, trying to figure out the perfect way. So you've got a lot of moving parts to this. These are flexible. This indent casts so many different shadows. So when you try to align some tape, for example, and I know you're thinking like, oh, Darren, how hard is it? You just peel it off and you stick it. It's like, okay, well, what if you start sticking it here and then you get over here and you realize it wasn't perfectly aligned inside the indent? There's no reversing that. It can't be undone. You'd have to rip it off and start over. So you have to actually make sure that it fits right in the center so that it has complete flat contact with the flat surfaces of this. So anytime you skew it left, right, up, down, diagonally, it's going to possibly start going up onto one of these edges here, and then it's not going to be perfectly flush. Never mind, it won't be perfectly aligned within this indent. So then it becomes a challenge of how do I do that? So for example, let's say I want to align this tape, because this tape will serve as my guideline. But every time you go to align it, it casts a shadow of this indent. So suddenly I realize, okay, that's not perfectly aligned right there. So I need to redo it. Because every time I move and every time I change my hands, it's going to affect the lighting. So it's like, oh my gosh, this is way worse than I anticipated. I don't know how they're going to show it on YouTube. I'm just showing that what I'm doing so that I have perfect alignment with these. These are perfectly flat and they're perfectly in alignment with the indent that is meant to receive these decals. So what I did, once I have this kind of becomes my horizontal line, left to right like this. Now what I need to contend with is getting it perfectly from left position to right. So this would serve, I could say, you could say that this line here serves 2 purposes. One, I'm not going to go higher than that line that way, and I'm also, it's going to keep me even from this side to that side. But there's still room to move this end from right to left, and I don't want that. So this is what I figured out. I put a piece of tape right at the very top so that that tape is perfectly in alignment with the top edge of this. Sometimes I get myself into these quandaries and I'm thinking, do I really want this kind of stress in my life right now? I gotta wonder. So now I have not taken the backing off. So now I can just finesse it and feel, like literally feel it as I'm pressing on it. I've got it aligned here and here. And now I can feel, is it perfectly flat? You know, you're finessing it through feeling, through the tactile experience. Okay, yes, that feels completely flat. Then I check the alignment around the perimeter and it looks like it's exactly where it should be. So now I'm gonna make my guide lines. And this will tell me 2 things. Well, actually, the guidelines will tell me 1 thing, but in combination with the horizontal line and these 2 lines, it's telling me 2 things. 1, how far up I go to make the approach, and then from right to left, I know that I line up those marks. And then I just obviously take those off after I have contact and I've consummated the deal. So if you're attempting to do this at home, all I can say is good luck. And right here, so for example, these are pretty tacky. The moment I make contact, you're not really going to be able to pull it up and reposition it unless it's just a very, very subtle point of contact. So you really have to come in slowly, like this. So I now have good contact here, and I just come down And I would say I nailed it. And then these come off easily. And then I press it for real contact. And you can see, I'll bring you up close and you can see, I would say that looks pretty damn good. All right, and I'll finish, and if I remember, I'll bring you in for the finish. And now I am done. So let's come up and have a look and scrutinize Darren's work. I would say that I'm very happy with the way it came out. Now what I'm showing you is something, one of the nuances. For example, see the gap here compared to the gap up here? Now, if I wanted to spend more time, I would have needed to align that like I did at the top. But overall, I'm completely happy because everything is uniform in position. And in case you're thinking like, oh, wow, I would not have done that. It's like, okay, don't do it. But how about this? Standing at normal viewing distance and at a normal viewing angle, I'm 5'10", barefooted. So with shoes on, I'm about 5'11"-ish and some change. So my point is when I'm looking down at it, everything looks perfectly uniform from here to here because I'm at a slight angle. So based on your height, let's say I was taller, it'd look like that. Or if I was a little shorty, it would look like this. So these are the endless nuances that you can concern yourself with, or you can just ignore. And if this has put the fear of God into you, as it should. And if you're wondering who in your area could possibly do this, it's like, well, good luck with that. That's all I can say.